Hello there. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. I'm Ryan in Singapore. Welcome to the Mindfulness Daily Practice. There goes my mindful cat. Hello Rachel. Hi Haley. Hello Dee. Hi Magdalena. Hi Leslie. Hello Suzanne. Hello Edelyn. Hello Caesar. Hi Jean. And hello Fernando in Texas. Hello Angela. Welcome everybody to our daily practice today. Pleasure as always. Yeah, howdy. Pleasure as always to be here and to be leading this daily practice. This week we are talking about mindful movement, and we had a little bit of introduction to mindful movement. Today's topic is why would we choose mindful movement over, say, a stationary practice. And I guess I'm one who really believes that the stationary practice has a lot of benefit. Let's talk about that first. The reason that I think the non-moving practice is something that's essential is just because there's nothing else going on during that time we're in stationary practice. So always try and leave a little bit of room for myself to have some practice where I'm not moving, because there's nothing going on in the conscious mind when we're sitting still. So when we're sitting still, we're lying still, there's nothing you have to do, nothing else you have to focus on. You can just pay attention to what's going on without having to think anything else, to have any other additional conscious thought. So when we do mindful movement, there is that one additional aspect that we have to bring attention to, what we're going to do next. So we have to think maybe a few seconds into the future. What's the next thing that I'm going to do? And that might bring attention a little bit away from the present moment. So I guess that's the disclaimer before we get started into why, what reason might we do mindful movement practice? Just to talk about, why might we also focus on doing some other kind of practice? So some of the main reasons to do mindful movement practice, and I'll say the number one reason, and I get it a lot here in our chat, for example, is, some people think that it's really hard to stay focused in still practice, and they find that instead, when I'm moving around, it's easier for me to keep my attention inside of my body, and one of the reasons is that the sensations that I feel are stronger, and because the sensations are stronger, it's easier for me to keep my attention there. And this is true, that certainly the sensations we feel as we do mindful movement can be a bit stronger. And I'll say, kind of go back to why we use body scan as the foundation. Body scan is a way to tune into these very subtle sensations in the body. And so, this really helps to cultivate this high quality awareness of subtle sensations, so that we can really start to notice these really small changes in the body, changes in the heart rate, changes in the breath, even slight sensations, and we can learn to interpret those. And so when we're doing mindful movement, these subtle sensations don't disappear. The subtle sensations are still there, and hopefully through our cultivation of mindfulness, we're still able to feel these subtle sensations as we do mindful movement practice. So the gross sensation, the more, louder sensation is easy to tune into, because it's there. It is stronger. And in mindful movement, we can also feel this change. So it's okay. Let's go back. Number one, the first reason we may use mindful movement practice as opposed to still practice is that we'll find that it might be easier to keep your attention in the present. And I'm not saying that that's necessarily a benefit. There certainly is value in catching the mind wandering. But how that can be really helpful for you as a meditator is that a lot of people, their mind wanders, within 2 minutes. Your mind has wandered so many times that you're like, okay, enough of this. I don't want to do this anymore. And you get up and you walk away from your practice. So this number one reason is it's easier for me to pay attention when I'm moving around, and I find it more comfortable, and it's simply a personal preference. And so this is certainly a valid reason to do mindful movement practice more often. And personally, I have a mindful movement practice myself. I do a particular routine 3 times a week, and part of the reason, and part of while I'm doing the routine isn't for physical exercise, although number 2, this is another additional benefit of doing mindful movement, is that you do get to engage your body and do some exercise. And so even though that's not isn't the main reason for doing the practice, the main reason is to pay attention in the present moment, but this is that additional benefit that you get from doing mindful movement. And some people may choose to choose mindful movement because of that additional added benefit. So maybe I gain a little bit of strength, a little bit more flexibility, and so this can be some reason why we might choose it. And so to have that additional, not only awareness, but start to see our body changing over time. And I have to admit, that was something, as I took mindfulness-based stress reduction, this 8-week mindfulness course, quite to my surprise, doing what seems to be very, very simple mindful movement practice actually increased my flexibility. So I noticed that, and I suppose that maybe that's the first thing that I noticed, is that I wasn't very flexible at the time. And so doing 8 weeks, practicing mindful movement several days a week, made it so that I could touch my toes or things that were inaccessible without actually trying to change myself at all. And I thought that was really interesting. And I think this is part of the mindful movement practice as well, is to remember to let go of that desire to be different. So you may see improvements over time. You may see yourself becoming more flexible. You may see yourself becoming stronger as we do some of these simple practices. And the key is not really striving to be different, just doing the practice as best you can and letting whatever results come as they will. As well, number 3, one of the reasons to do mindful movement and to incorporate it into our routine is because we're moving around a lot in our day. And you can find that a lot of the movements that you make, scratching the face or whatever, you'll find a lot of movements that you make aren't movements that you're completely in control of, that you're doing some of the movements of your body mindlessly. This was one of my habits, I think, before I started mindfulness practice. So I found that I would unconsciously shake my leg a lot. I think maybe it was a byproduct of nervousness or whatever. I'm not entirely sure why, but I found that this was something that I would just kind of do. And through mindfulness practice and mindful movement, it's something that just over time I stopped doing. And it wasn't like even consciously trying to stop doing it, just something that happened because of having more awareness of my body and realize that whatever's going on here is unnecessary and, distracting for other people too. Kind of strange, right? So these are some of the three main reasons we might practice mindful movement. So speaking of mindful movement, welcome everybody. We're going to go ahead and get into practice today. So the last couple times that we've done mindful movement practice, it's just been some simple shoulder rolls, some simple movement of the head and neck, and we're going to do a little bit more today as we get into our practice. So I would encourage you first, before we get into it, and I suppose I should let you know that we're going to be doing everything today seated, so you don't need to arrange anything else. So if you happen to be on a sofa like me, that will suffice. If you're on the floor, that works well too. So welcome everybody. Let's go ahead and start by getting into any seated posture that's going to be supportive, so taking a moment to arrive. And what's that mean anyway? Take a moment to arrive. Just feel into the body here in the present moment. What do you notice? Maybe scanning the body to see if you find any tight muscles. Noticing the breath and the breathing. So having a moment here to take stock in you and yourself, state of the body, state of the mind, state of the emotions. And so as I scan through my body, and this is me just waking up, I find that I do have a little bit of tension in my shoulders. So just going to do a few shoulder rolls here to get started. See if I can, with a little bit of intention and a little bit of movement, another benefit of movement practice is it can actually help the body to relax. So let's together do a few shoulder rolls. So squeezing the shoulders towards the ears, shoulder blades together behind the back, shoulders down away from the ears, shoulders together in front of the body, and then back to the ears, and doing a few shoulder rolls backwards here for a few moments. And so holding the attention in the region of the shoulders, just feeling the muscles as they change, the muscles in tension, the muscles stretching out. And then wherever you are, pausing and reversing the motion in the opposite direction, so rolling the shoulders forwards now. And maybe noticing what might be changing. Do you feel warmth in the shoulders? Do you feel the pace of the breath changing? Can you feel the heart rate changing? And wherever you are now, as you bring your shoulders back towards your ears, up, just holding there for a moment. And then on your next exhale, releasing the shoulders down. And so let's take a moment to take stock in the body. See how we're feeling now. And now we'll stretch the side body. So if you're sitting, you've got your hands on your knees. Can you bring your left hand off your left knee? Place the right hand down on the floor or the spot, the supporting surface next to you, and bring the left arm overhead, stretching out the left arm. And then you can bend the right elbow, so keeping the left side body up towards the ceiling. So not overexerting yourself. Say not going beyond 60% of your maximum effort here. No need to try too hard to stretch out. Just feeling, using this movement to tune into the body and how the body feels. So what's happening in the fingertips? The temperature changing. You feel it in this part, in this part. You find it in the side of the abdominal muscles. Of course, you can stop at any time. Anytime you feel you're fatigued, you need to take a break, you need to back off. Just letting your body guide you as to what you need to do. And then on the next inhalation, slowly we'll come up, pushing with the right arm. So we sit up straight, and slowly bringing this arm down. And noticing sensations as they're changing here. Until the hand comes back down to rest wherever it was previously. And so now let's take stock. The left side and the right side, do they feel different now? How about the breath? Is the breath different? The heart rate. And so now we'll do the other side. So placing the left hand on the supporting surface, bringing the right hand up overhead, and then bending down, keeping the right side body up towards the ceiling. There may be a tendency to want to curve, so as best you can, keeping that right side body up. So feeling that stretch here, all the way here, the side. Also, we might feel a bit of burning in the left arm as the left arm supports some of the weight of our bodies. Don't forget to breathe. Somehow here we start to feel intense sensations in our bodies, and suddenly that natural breath starts to disappear. So remember, breathing is important. We need to continue doing that, no matter how intense we start to feel here. And remember, don't go beyond your limit. Know when to back off. And on the next inhale, pushing with that left hand. So coming, straightening back up. The right arm straight up. And slowly, slowly bringing the right arm down. Feeling the sensations as they change as we bring the arm down. So take a moment here just to feel what is. How are you feeling now? For me, I notice, even though it's early, I'm starting to feel more awake. And so if you're in a place with enough space, let's go and stretch each of our hamstrings. So what we'll do is extend the left arm, the left leg out. You can keep the right leg next to the body. Would one spot for the right foot would be on the left knee. So you can place it, or you can place it closer to the perineum. And then just let the head just naturally fall down towards the left knee. And you might find that your knee wants to bend, and that's okay. So notice the sensations. What do you feel in your lower back? What do you feel in your hamstring? So you can bring your hands closer to the ankle. You can bring your hands to your toes. The idea here isn't to strain or to get anywhere. Remember this attitude of non-striving. And as you breathe, do you find that the body softens with each breath? Is it possible to get a little bit deeper? Again, being very mindful of the body, especially the lower back. On the next inhale, slowly coming back up. You might want to use your hands to push yourself back up so we're not straining the lower back at all. And now, switching sides. Bringing the left foot in to the knee, the mid-thigh, to the perineum. Just letting the body, just yielding the body down towards the right knee. Allowing the attention to reside in the areas where you feel those stronger sensations in the body. And on the next inhale, coming back up again, you can push with your hands. Keep the lower back safe. And so let's come back to our seated posture. And so just feel the consequence of those actions. What do you feel? How does the lower back feel? The hamstrings, the side body. And now how about the body as a whole? State of the mind. The state of the emotions. Is anything different? And so now we'll close our practice with 3 rings of the bell. Okay. All right, thank you. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for joining me in practice today. How did it go? How was your mindful movement practice today? So do feel free to write in the chat. What did you notice? And for me, let's see, I can feel my, well, first, I feel more awake. It's been, I've been sleeping until less than an hour ago. I woke up to get ready, so still feeling kind of a bit of stiffness in my body from having woken up, but feeling more awake. I think that's probably normal. Do some exercise, do some movement, and feeling more awake. Angela says, that helped me through my afternoon slump. Jean says self-judgment. Jean, can you elaborate? What else, what do you think caused it? Gina says, I feel more awake too. Thank you. Really enjoyed it. Thanks, Gina. Thanks for being here. Barbara, much more flexible on the right side. Yeah. Me too. Me too. I'm more flexible on the right side, and I think I have more a bit less. My lower back. I think I injured the right side of my lower back. I can always feel when I go down on the left side that it's not as flexible, and so, and self-judgment along with that too. I do, and memory. I think I go back to when that injury happened, and maybe fear around that memory. Sometimes, as I remember that time, worrying that what I'm going to do now might injure myself. Sybil shares, I feel warm, awake. I had to concentrate. Lots of burning in my arms. Thanks for sharing. Leslie shares, I also practice my jaw. So I think sometimes too, when we do these kind of practices, we might want to tense. We want to clench our teeth. Sometimes it's hard to remember to smile when we're doing. And not that you have to smile, but if there's a scowl on your face, why am I scowling so much right now? Is it possible for me to let go? Because most of the time our faces aren't involved in this practice. Suzanne shares, I found my right arm burning more quickly than the left one. Thank you. And Jean says, complicated articulating in this small space. Thanks. Thanks, Jean, for sharing. Yeah, that can be really challenging as well. Barbara shares, found myself holding my breath. This is so common, by the way, which is why I try to remind you to breathe. For there's something about that intensity that can happen in these practices that we're really holding on. And so check it out when you breathe as well. What I find sometimes when I breathe, that especially the exhalation makes a little bit more room, helps my body to relax, helps me to go a little bit deeper into the stretches. All right, thanks everybody for sharing. We will, I think tomorrow's applications, is that, let me have a look. Yes. So tomorrow's practice is about applying mindful movement. So we do mindful movement as a dedicated practice. Is there a way to start to integrate what we're learning here and doing mindful movement into our daily lives? So this really is part of the reason that we practice mindfulness, not just to be mindful during our meditation, but what's the benefit? Like, what's it like when we bring mindfulness into the rest of our lives? So we're going to explore that a little bit more as we do this tomorrow. Yeah, Suzanne shares, and I definitely want to cover this. Sometimes I find it difficult to describe the feelings, sensations, and burning can be a useful feeling or a useful name. And I think, this is sometimes the problem with labeling, especially in physical sensations, is that sometimes when we label, that label connects it to other things that have happened in the past. So, I use these labels because, how else can we describe what it is that's going on? For me to communicate, we have to use words. So, of course there are other ways, but, primarily we're using words to communicate. And the problem is that when I use a word like burning, it connects to a lot of things that have happened in the past. So one of the real challenges as we do this practice and other practices is, can you feel your sensations with that beginner's mind kind of approach? So, can I just feel that sensation and go, with curiosity, what is this? pain is a very charged word. Even burning, it maybe has some kind of negative feeling towards it. So, this is part of our practice as well. Can we examine with that kind of scientist mindset what's really going on here? Oh, all right. Well, thanks for letting me know. Well, I look forward to seeing you all again tomorrow. It's going to be an interesting practice as we apply mindful movement. So do come back. Check out the recordings. The recordings of the daily practice are now available on this big video website that everybody knows about. So you can check them out there. If you missed anything, you want to revisit something. So look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Let's close our practice with some well wishes. May I be happy and peaceful. May all of you watching, listening, wherever you are, I wish you all happiness and peace. And may all sentient life around the universe, including those who have not yet been born, I wish them all happiness and peace. All right. If you're unable to find, maybe can somebody help out in Ryan's Daily Mindfulness Circle. So in our little room, our little chat group in the Insight Timer groups, if you can just kind of help guide people towards that, would appreciate it. Thanks, Magdalena. All right. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.